Hi Bobcats, this is Miss Lee, and today's video lesson is on special angles. Special angles specifically to help us find missing angles of a triangle. Okay, this is actually my favorite part of the triangles topic and the angles topic, so I hope you can have some fun with it also. Make sure that you're taking good notes as you watch the video. Okay. We're going to go through, talk about the different type of angles. First is adjacent angles. Adjacent angles are two angles that are side by side. They have a common vertex and ray. Remember, the vertex is where two rays make a intersect to make a point. Okay, that's the vertex. It makes an angle. Okay, adjacent angles may or may not be congruent. What does congruent mean? It means equal or the same. Okay, so angles can be side by side, and sometimes they do measure the same, sometimes they do not. So these are some examples. Here we go. You can see that this angle right here and this angle right here are congruent because this is the same or the shared side. Okay, they share this side right here. They are side by side. We don't know if they are congruent or not because we don't know the measures, but they are adjacent. Same thing over here. You've got this angle right here, and you've got this angle right here. They're adjacent because they're next to each other. This is their shared side right here, the shared ray. Okay, so they are adjacent. These angles are not adjacent. Okay, this one, yes, they share the same side, don't they? Okay, but they don't have a common vertex. The vertex for this angle is right here, and the vertex for this one is down here. So they don't share a vertex. They might look adjacent because they share a side, but because they don't have the same vertex, they are not adjacent. So this one right here, if you're trying to look at, this is one big angle to this one, they are not adjacent. Okay. Next we have complementary angles. Complementary angles are two angles whose sum measures 90 degrees. When adjacent, they form a right angle. You're going to use this a lot, especially when you go into geometry as well. Okay, they're just two angles whose sum equals 90 degrees. And we know that any 90-degree angle is a right angle. So if you see two angles forming a right angle, then they are complementary. Okay, just like you see here. Two angles, the angles don't have to be the same size, but together they make that right angle, that 90-degree angle. Then we have supplementary angles. These are two angles whose measures have a sum of 180 degrees. When they are adjacent, they form a straight line. Take a look. We have this angle right here, angle I, well, HIJ, and we have this angle over here, JIK. Together, they form this straight line. So together, they add up to 180 degrees. They are supplementary. Okay, same thing here. Okay, you've got this big old angle right here that measures 163. When you add it to this angle here, they make that straight line 180 degrees. They are supplementary. One way to know that, remember the difference between complementary and supplementary, is complementary has one P. Think of a P as being 90 degrees. One P, 90 degrees. Supplementary has two P's. So that's a 90 degrees plus 90 degrees, which equals 180 degrees. You can think of it that way. Okay, vertical angles. Vertical angles are opposite angles formed by two intersecting lines. Vertical angles are congruent. This is going to save you a lot of work. They are congruent. So take a look down here, this first example, the left to the right. Do you see how the two lines, they make an X? So think of the opposite angles of the X. So these two red angles are opposite. They are called vertical. They're opposite angles. They're going to measure the same. Okay, this top and bottom angles, they are also opposite angles in our X. So they are congruent. Okay, here's our X. Okay, opposite angles. Here's the top angle, here's the bottom angle. Those are congruent. Here's the left angle, here's the right. Those are congruent because they're opposite. Those are vertical angles. Okay, favorite part, let's do this. Let's find the angle measures, the missing angle measures. Okay, I can easily see that I'm missing x. If I put these two angles together, what do they make? A straight line, which means they measure 180 degrees. So subtract the angle that you do know, which is 118. Make sure you borrow. And you get 62. So x is going to be 62 degrees. Okay, going to the right. Oh, these two angles, I can see that they form a right angle, which measures 90 degrees, called complementary, right? So all I have to do is subtract the angle that we do know, 58, from 90 degrees. Do your borrowing, and you get 32. So x, or the missing angle, is 32 degrees. Okay, next example. This time I'm looking for n. And what do you notice about this angle? It's on the outside of the triangle. Okay, but it is next to another angle, isn't it? So if I put this inside angle of 67 degrees with this n angle, what do they make? Yep, 180 degrees, a straight line. So just subtract your 67 from the 180, and you get 113 degrees. So that is the measure for angle n. Isn't this fun? There's actually more fun to come, so stay tuned. Okay, oh look, they make an x, don't they? That means we're going to talk vertical angles. Vertical angles are opposite, so they are congruent, they are equal. So I know that this angle of 2x is equal to this angle of 74. And now I have an equation that I can solve. Divide both sides by 2, and you get x is equal to 37. So x is 37. Again, 74 degrees would be the total angle measure because they are congruent. But if you were looking for the value of just x, then you could set up your equation. Okay, some more fun. Again, I see an x, so I know that opposite angles are equivalent. They are congruent, right, for vertical angles. So that's one way you could do that. You could say, okay, this question mark angle and its opposite angle, because they are vertical, they're going to be congruent. So that means this angle would be 130.7 degrees. Or, because there's more than one way of looking at it, you could say, look, this angle right here plus my question mark angle, together they form a straight line which measures 180 degrees. And then I can subtract the angle that we do know and find the missing angle, which is 130.7 degrees. Same way. Vertical angles, it's a lot easier because there was really no math involved, right? You just had to know that the opposite angles were congruent. But that's multiple ways of solving for it. There is no one right way. Moving over here to the right, we are looking for this angle right here, aren't we? Well, it's on the outside of the triangle. Right here, I'm not sure what this is. This looks like a right angle, but if there's not a box there, I wouldn't assume that it is, because it could be close. It could be 88 degrees, right? Or 91 degrees. And a right angle is exactly 90. So I would probably hold off on that and see if I could figure out what this inside angle measure is. I'm missing this angle measure here too, but look, I can take this angle on the inside of the triangle with this angle on the outside, and what does it make? A straight angle, a straight line, which is 180 degrees. Subtract the 155 from that, and you get 25. So that means that this angle right here is 25 degrees. Now we know two angles, don't we? We know the 60 angle plus the 25 degree angle that we just found, which is going to be 85. Total, subtract that from 180, and you get what? 95 degrees. So that's what this angle measures. Now that we know that this is 95, so it wasn't a right angle, was it? Glad we didn't assume it. Now that we know that this is 95 degrees, When I put those two together, it makes that straight line that is 180 degrees. So I subtract it and we get 85. So this question mark angle on the outside is 85 degrees. Oh my gosh, that was so fun. Okay, we've got another example here. Alrighty. 65, 45, unknown. This angle on the outside is x minus 3. If I put these two angles together, I know that they're going to equal 180. Since I know these two inside angles already, I can add them together, 65 plus 45, and it's going to be 110. And then subtract that from 180, and that will give me the missing triangle angle, which is 70 degrees. So now that I know that, if I add these two together, what do we get? 180. So let's write our equation. X minus 3 is the measure of this angle, plus the 70 degree angle is going to equal 180, because two angles are supplementary. They make that straight line. Okay, combine your like terms. Negative 3, positive 70. It's going to be x plus 67 equals 180. Now we're ready to solve our equation. We have to get the x by itself, isolate it. The opposite or inverse operation is to subtract 67. Do that to both sides, and you get that x is equal to 113 degrees. So knowing that, I can plug it in. 113 minus 3 is going to equal 110 degrees. So we found the value of x, and we also were able to substitute it in and find the degree for this angle. If you need to process it, to think about what we did, you can just pause the video or you can rewind it and listen to it again. When you're ready, go on to the next one. Okay, this next one, oh my goodness, we're trying to find the measure of this angle right here with the question mark. Okay, you really just have to kind of think about what you know and what you can find. Okay, again, there's no one right way, and again, can get confusing looking at this. So just take it piece by piece. First of all, I know that there's two triangles, right? On this larger triangle on the bottom, I know two of the angles. So I can easily find this third angle, right? So add them up, 20 plus 35, and subtract it from 180. So that's going to be 180 minus 55, which is going to equal 125. Okay, so this angle right here is 125 degrees. And then, I don't know if you saw it, but look here. Do you see the X? And we know with the X that the vertical lines are opposite, not lines, opposite angles are vertical angles, they are congruent. So this angle right here is opposite this angle. So that means they measure the same degree. Well, we just found that this angle was 125 degrees, so that means this one is also 125 degrees. Okay, so now I can work with the smaller triangle. I know one angle. I need to find an angle. And then I have another angle that I don't know. But what do you notice about this angle right here? That if I put it together with this angle on the inside of the triangle, it makes a straight angle, a straight line that measures 180 degrees. So let's subtract 180 minus 156. You get 24 degrees. So this angle measures 24 degrees. And now we know 2 out of the 3 angles for this smaller triangle, don't we? So let's add them up and subtract from 180. So one of them is 125. The other one is 24. If we add them up, what's the 4? We get 149. Now subtract that from 180 degrees, and you get 31 degrees. So our missing angle measure is 31 degrees. Oh, that was so fun. Okay, again, if you need more time to process what was done, you can pause the video, take a look at the work, or rewind it and listen to it again. But again, there's no one right way of doing it, and you just have to look at all of the types of angles that we've learned about to see what you can find and what will help you determine or help you find the angle that you're looking for. Okay, great job, Bobcats.